You can live your whole life for your children and still end up being told to eat in the kitchen because you don't fit the vibe. That's what my son told me. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part came after I found the loan he took. And my name is Helen Monroe. I'm 70 years old, and until recently, I believed I had done a good job raising my only son, Daniel. I was a nurse for over 4 decades, worked night shifts, double shifts, whatever it took to keep food on the table after my husband passed away. I didn't complain, not once, because I believed it would all be worth it if my son grew up to be decent and kind. When Daniel graduated college, I sold the old family house. He had a business idea, and no one else believed in it. But I did. I always did. I gave him the down payment for his first office. I didn't keep any share, any contract, just trust. That was my investment. When I retired, my heart wasn't what it used to be. A valve issue. The doctor said, manageable, but risky. Daniel said, why don't you come stay with me? Mom, you shouldn't be alone during recovery. And just like that, I was living in his penthouse apartment in Dallas. It was beautiful. Marble floors, glass walls, smart everything. And still, I boiled my tea in a kettle and read paperback books on the couch. I didn't want much. Just to be near him, to feel like maybe I hadn't spent my life giving for nothing. Sometimes he was sweet, called me mama like he used to when he was little. Sometimes he forgot I was in the room, but I told myself that was normal. He was busy. A CEO, a man with meetings and deadlines, until that Tuesday. The Tuesday he asked me, ever so politely, to eat in the kitchen while he hosted a dinner party. He said his clients weren't used to older people at formal gatherings, said it wouldn't look right. I nodded. I smiled. I took my plate to the kitchen, but inside, something cracked. And as I sat there, alone, chewing in silence while my son toasted champagne in the next room, I had no idea the worst betrayal hadn't even come yet. The kitchen wasn't dirty. It was spotless. Actually, just like the rest of the penthouse, the recessed lighting hummed above my head, casting a soft glow over the marble countertops and polished chrome appliances. But it felt cold, like a museum, or a stage I didn't belong on. I sat at the little counter by the wall, napkin in my lap, a plate of filet mignon in front of me. Daniel's personal chef had plated it beautifully, with some kind of beet reduction and a sprig of rosemary. I barely touched it. Through the double doors, I could hear the clinking of glasses, laughter, Daniel's voice. Smooth and charming, he was introducing his guests, some executives from a sports apparel company. I remembered him mentioning the partnership. It was huge for the brand, and apparently huge enough that he couldn't risk them seeing me. Not sitting at the table, not being his mother, I picked at the food, listening as one of the guests asked, "So, anyone else live here?" Daniel chuckled. "No." Just me. Just me. I froze. I think I actually stopped chewing. Now, maybe he meant it casually. Maybe he meant no one else important. But when someone decides you're invisible, you stop caring what they meant. I want to ask you, if you're watching this and you're a mother or a grandmother, have you ever felt erased by the very person you gave your life to? Tell me in the comments. You're not alone, and what happens next might feel painfully familiar, because the next morning, I tried to brush it off. I told myself he was stressed. He had work pressure. Maybe he didn't even realize how it sounded. So I made his coffee like I always did, left it on the counter, went for a walk. That's when I saw the envelope in the mailbox. It was addressed to me from the bank that held my retirement account. It said, "Your monthly credit rating report is now available." Funny, I hadn't signed up for credit monitoring. Back upstairs, I opened it, and what I saw made my hands go cold. A new loan, $500,000, secured against property. My name, my signature, only I hadn't signed anything. And my son, the man who couldn't let me sit at his table, had used my name to gamble $500,000. I didn't storm into his office. I didn't scream. That's not how I was raised. Instead, I waited until dinner. Just the two of us this time. He was scrolling his phone with one hand, sipping wine with the other. I had reheated some leftover chicken, not that he noticed. "Daniel," I said softly, setting my fork down, "I need to ask you something." He didn't look up. "Did you take out a loan? In my name?" That made him freeze. Just for a second. Then he set the glass down, leaned back, and gave me that rehearsed smile he'd used since he was 10. "Oh, that, yeah, I meant to talk to you about it." "You meant to talk to me?" I repeated. I could feel my voice shaking. It's not what you think. Mom, it was just paperwork. I used your name for collateral. Technically, because your credit is so good, it's not like you'd actually have to pay it. It's just to secure a campaign. It's temporary. $500,000. Daniel, it's not a big deal. He shrugged. It's not like you're doing anything with that money. You said yourself you're just living quietly now. Retired. This way you're helping me grow. I stared at him, stunned. Then he added, I'll never forget this. If you really love me, you won't make this a problem. I mean, you've always helped me. Why stop now? That's when I knew. He didn't see me as his mother anymore. He saw me as a signature. A tool. A convenient name with good credit. He would have never said that to his investors or to his clients. But to me, the woman who carried him, raised him, fed him, and gave him everything, I had become disposable. That night, I lay awake in the guest room, staring at the ceiling. The house around me looked expensive, but all I could feel was small and invisible. The betrayal wasn't loud. It wasn't even dramatic. It was quiet. Like erasing someone with a pen instead of a punch. If you've ever felt that, silently erased by the ones who should have held you close, I see you. And like me, you might not explode, but you will wake up. And when you do, everything changes. I didn't speak to Daniel for 3 days, not because I was trying to punish him. I just didn't trust myself to speak without crumbling. I stayed quiet, watched, listened. And for the first time, I really looked around that penthouse. All those clean lines and luxury furnishings. But there wasn't a single photo of our family. No baby pictures. No wedding photos. Not even one of me and Daniel. You'd never know a mother lived there. It hit me then. I wasn't part of his life. I was part of his infrastructure. That Sunday, I pulled out the thick old file I'd brought with me. My records, every pay stub from the hospital, my pension statements, the modest retirement Edward and I had saved over decades, and I found the original property deed, the one with only my name on it, the little 2-bedroom cottage in Missouri, the house I thought I'd never return to, but it was still mine. That night, I couldn't sleep, so I made tea. Daniel walked into the kitchen around midnight, talking on Bluetooth. He didn't even acknowledge me. Then I heard it. His voice dropping just enough to make my skin go cold. No. She hasn't said anything. She probably doesn't even understand what the loan means. She's old school. Then he laughed. I don't remember setting the teacup down, but I remember walking into my room and closing the door slowly, calmly, and I started packing because suddenly I didn't want to fight. I didn't want to scream or demand. I wanted out. Sometimes dignity doesn't roar. It just walks away. If you're watching this and thinking, I could never leave. I have nowhere to go. Listen to me. You have more than you think. You have your name, your records, your truth. That's where it begins. I booked a train back to Missouri the next morning. I left a note that just said, do not contact me unless it's through legal counsel. And I walked out. The doorman offered to help with my suitcase. Heading on a trip. Mrs. Monroe. I smiled for the first time in weeks. No. I said, I'm going home. The old cottage in Missouri smelled like dust and cedar. I hadn't been back in over 10 years. The wallpaper was peeling, and the heater clicked like it was remembering how to breathe. But it was mine. I opened the windows, let the cold spring air blow out whatever was stale. The first night, I cried, not because I regretted leaving. I didn't. But because I finally allowed myself to feel everything I had been swallowing for years. The shame, the exhaustion, the betrayal. I was 70 years old, and for the first time in my life, I didn't belong to anyone. I belonged to me. In the weeks that followed, I cleaned room by room, fixed what I could, made tea on a stove that needed a shim under one leg to keep from rocking. But I didn't mind. I began to feel grounded in a way that no penthouse ever made me feel. I called my old friend Margot from the hospital days. She still lived nearby, still had her same raspy laugh. Lord, Helen, when I saw your name on the caller ID, I nearly dropped my casserole. We met for lunch the next day at the old diner off Highway 14. It felt like going back in time, in the best possible way. You look tired, but strong, she told me. And she was right. I was tired, but underneath that, I was steady, quiet, whole. Then came the letters. Daniel didn't call. He didn't visit. But he sent a letter through his lawyer, polite, cold, asking if I'd be willing to discuss alternative repayment structures for the loan. I read it twice, then slid it into a drawer I labeled, "Not my problem anymore." Because here's the truth. He borrowed my name, but he doesn't get to borrow my peace. These days, I spend mornings on the porch with my tea and my paper. I've started journaling, writing down the story I was too ashamed to admit even to myself. And no, I don't post about it. I don't update Facebook. I don't tell the neighbors. Because this isn't for show. This is for me. If you've ever felt erased, hear me now. You can start again. Quietly. Beautifully. On your own terms. It happened in early October. The leaves outside my kitchen window were turning gold, the kind of gold that feels both beautiful and bittersweet. I was sipping my tea when I saw a car pull into the gravel drive. A black rental with city plates. Daniel stepped out. He looked older, not in the face exactly, but in the way he moved. Like something inside him had deflated. He wasn't wearing his usual suit, just jeans, a jacket, and that same nervous energy he used to have as a boy when he got caught lying about homework. I opened the door, but didn't say a word. He stood there for a second, then reached into his coat pocket and pulled out an envelope. "Mom, this is the title transfer. I've paid off the loan. The one I put in your name. It's done." I took the envelope, but didn't invite him in. "You could have mailed it. I needed to hand it to you." To say something, he looked down, then back at me. "I've been going to therapy. Voluntarily, not court-ordered," he added with a sad smile. "And I've been thinking about what I did. What I took from you, not just the money." He paused. "I didn't just borrow your name. I used it like it meant nothing. Like you meant nothing." I nodded. Not because I forgave him, but because I heard him. "I've been volunteering at the shelter downtown, helping older folks with their finances. It's not enough. It's probably never enough. But I'm trying." For the first time in a long time, I saw a trace of the boy I raised. The one who used to leave me wildflower bouquets on the porch when he'd misbehave. "I'm not here for your blessing." "Mom, I just wanted you to know. You mattered." "You always did." He turned to leave. I stood there long after his car disappeared down the road. I didn't cry. I didn't call anyone. But that night, I lit a candle. For myself. For the part of me that had almost disappeared in someone else's story, but didn't. If you're still here, still listening, can I ask something? Have you ever had to rebuild in silence after someone erased you, forgot your worth? Tell me below. Or just leave a if you don't want to say more. We see you. And you're not alone. You were never just a name. You're the light they didn't expect to keep shining. But here you are.